Excited to have this conversation here on Willard and Dibbs with the brand new general manager of the San Francisco Giants, Pete Putila, who joins from the Houston Astros. Pete, welcome to the Bay Area. How you doing?
Great, Mark. Thanks for having me this morning. I'm sitting in my office here at Oracle. Flew out a few days ago, so digging into everything, but really excited about the opportunity.
We're excited to talk with you. How on earth did you do this by age 33? What the hell are you doing,
Seriously?
Pete? What's going on over there?
I've been very fortunate. I've been around a lot of good people over the years. Got to learn from them. So, yeah, just very, very fortunate, I think, to be surrounded by a lot of people I could learn from.
So welcome to the Bay, and now get to work is probably the way that goes. And so when you start to, when you start to roll up your sleeves, right, in a new organization, where do you begin? Do you start going through every player that you already have and looking at other players that are out there? It's got to feel kind of daunting, right, to take on a new organization like this.
Yeah, there's a lot of work to do. I think it all comes down to, having a plan going in terms of, what to do with all those conversations and highlighting, obviously, sort of the classic SWOT analysis, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats, and then trying to prioritize what are the things that we want to do as an organization with regard to, our resources. And, I have certain ideas coming in, and, I think the staff here is doing great work and doing some things that maybe we weren't doing in Houston and vice versa. So I think just a ton of conversations, with coaches, players, staff, just to get a feel for what is done here and, what could we add on to make things even better. And then, like you said, digging into all of the players internally, externally. So yeah, it's a lot of work, but, it's a lot of fun, and it's, why I do the job. So I'm really excited about being with an organization so invested in the team.
Well, Pete, I would love to hear more about that because, again, with the Houston Astros and the success that they're having, and you're 33 years old, I imagine you're somebody who has a lot of options in the coming years as far as where you want to go. What attracted you to this specific organization?
Yeah, it's a great question. Yeah, I think first and foremost, like I said, the investment in the team from ownership, from the historical payrolls to the staff to the facilities, there's really a lot of support there, and it doesn't happen across all clubs, and I think that sets us up to be in a position where we can fire on all cylinders. So, when you're in a job like this, you don't want to be constrained by certain things, and I feel like the opportunity here is great to work with Farhan, to learn from him, to add anything that I may be bringing from Houston, and it's a beautiful city too, and great fan base, great historical franchise. It really just checks all the boxes. So I'm really excited about it.
And part of the, due diligence and getting a new job is taking a look at the current assets on the roster. And what do you make of where the Giants are coming in? 107 wins a couple years ago, a little bit of a regression this year to 81 and 81. Do you like the starting point with which you find yourself?
Yeah, and I think that's something that Farhan and Scott did a great job in terms of building depth throughout the roster. And when you look at teams that don't have depth, they may be able to add big pieces, but when you look at all the playing time that the depth pieces get, it may drag things down a bit. And I think it's a great starting point just with having the depth here, having the versatility, and then also the coaching staff who's able to work with the players to put them in the best position to succeed. Because I think I don't think it can be overlooked that this team won 107 games in one of the toughest divisions in the league a few years ago. So, I think that's what I see when I look at the roster. There's obviously some guys who are developing. I think I saw Duvall was up to 104 miles an hour to end the year, and so there are going to be guys who pop, and that's what I want to focus on, making sure those guys are put in the best position to be able to make those leaps.
Pete Putila is the brand new general manager of the San Francisco Giants, joining us here on Willard and Dibbs, 95.7 The Game. Pete, I'm sure, no surprise to you, I'm sure you've done the background on sort of like where the organization is and where the fan base is Farhan has spoken publicly already numerous times saying expects a lot of activity, a lot of maybe new players this offseason. Yes, they can be involved in anything in terms of finances, and it's a fan base that is clamoring for some big names. So how would you sort of describe the offseason that's about to happen? What kind of an offseason do you expect?
Yeah, you'll be disappointed in the answer, but I'm still digging into all of that with Farhan. But as he said, all of the options are on the table, and I think we want to be smart about it. You know, whether that means free agents, whether that means trades, whether that means other avenues, internal prospects. That's really the name of the game. To make sure we set up the organization the best way possible. So I don't think there's really a sort of a prototype that you want to be looking for. But I think all options are on the table, like Farhan said.
And one of those options involves spending money, which is one thing that Farhan said that they're going to look to do this offseason. Are you excited and eager to maybe get that checkbook and go out there and maybe be able to write some of these big checks for some of the free agents that will be out there?
Oh, for sure. I mean, I think when you look across the league, there are sort of different tiers of clubs, and there are clubs who may be able to develop some players internally, but they're not really able to add to it. Then there are the clubs who do both, and I think that's how you get up into that upper tier. But you have to be responsible about it so that you're not stuck with contracts that may be weighing down the team and whatnot, and limit flexibility and everything. So I think there's just a lot of work done that needs to be done in order to understand what is the best fit.
Pete, you sound like a humble guy, but I'm going to ask you to flex here for a second, just a little bit, because you've been given the credit for a player development system that obviously really worked well in Houston, and the Giants are at a spot as their farm system has gotten better in recent years, but they really wanted to take the next step. What words can you put to this player development system that you worked on that's done so well?
Yeah, well, I mean, first of all, I think, in baseball, you tend to have singular individuals who get credit for certain things. I think, it takes a village, as we say, and there are a lot of people involved in the system that we had in Houston. But I think it all comes down to basically figuring out what are the parts of a player's game that can be developed, and then trying to figure out systems to give players feedback on those things, and put people in place and processes in place to support the development of certain items. But there's also an alignment with player acquisition in terms of international signings and the amateur draft. We want to be focused on acquiring players who we think are in a position that we can help them, and may have certain traits that are a little tougher to develop, but then the other traits we feel that the system can help those guys. So I think you have to have alignment between draft and international and player development in order to be the most successful player development department.
Pete, this may be a bit of an odd question, but how did you do it to go from a college student as an intern to work your way up through an organization to now be in a position where you're the general manager of the Giants? What was the journey like, and what were some of the attributes you had and some of the different things that you decided you were going to take on to help you make this unbelievable rise?
I appreciate the kind words. I think it all comes down to a lot of it just talking to coworkers. There are a lot of very smart people in the game in different areas, whether it's someone like Dusty Baker or a new sports scientist or analyst, and trying to understand just all facets of the game. And I think having a curiosity about those things and being able to connect with people and including the players, and trying to understand how that impacts them. And I think in Houston, I had the opportunity to be around a lot of different people, and we had a very collaborative atmosphere, and everybody was focused on the same goal, and that was winning the World Series. And that was something that was evident here in the interview process. Everybody's very humble here, and wants to do the right thing, wants to improve, and that's a recipe for success. So very excited about that.
Pete, we know we're at a time here in October where you're not allowed to say any names, so we'll just say them for you. So Aaron Judge, Trey Turner, Carlos Correa, we'll have you back on as soon as you guys are ready to announce those three, okay?
Sounds good. Guys.
Okay, right.
Perfect. So we'll slate you in for early December then. Wonderful. A hot stove show with Pete Putila.
No, Pete, welcome to town and congratulations. We look forward to seeing you over at the ballpark soon.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks for having me, guys. I appreciate it.
All right,
thanks,
there he
Pete.
goes.
Look forward to the spending.
Pete Putila.
The spending spree, the shopping spree for Pete Putila.
Yeah, Aaron Judge, or you're never allowed on here again.